Welcome to the complete animation of Shira from Ice Age Continental Drift and Ice Age Collision Course. Shira is the female counterpart to the character Diego, and yeah, um, I think I'll get the movies out of the way first. I think that Continental Drift and Collision Course are some of the weaker movies in the Ice Age franchise, but they're still good. Also, so they look good. Blue Sky doesn't make ugly movies, and also it's really interesting to note that Shira is really well animated in Continental Drift, like really well animated. Like if you look at this, she's expressive, she's active, she moves a lot, her face gets into the camera a lot. Just a very well animated character. And when we get to Collision Course, you'll see almost all of that go out the window. Um, as I was editing the Collision Course footage, it really struck me that for a character that's with the whole crew throughout the entire movie, Shira doesn't do anything in that movie. Like, you could make a meme about how useless Shira is in Collision Course. But here in Continental Drift, she's actually a pretty darn cool character. She actually does things. She interacts with people, she has character progression, and none of that applies to Continental Drift. And it's the character that is in Continental Drift, it's yeah, it shares the same, physical model, but there is almost nothing about the character in Continental Drift that makes you think, oh yeah, this is the feisty pirate from the last movie. I really think that Collision Course just completely gutted the character. Um, it's really sad. And so if you want Shira content, you basically have to go to Continental Drift instead of Collision Course, because this is the only place that she does anything, and she does it really well. Yeah, she's a villain for most of it, but not a villain, more like an antagonist, but conflicted about it. I don't know. But she actually does stuff here. If you watch Collision Course, you can tell that they really spent all of their animation on the other characters. There are some other characters in Collision Course that are really well animated, like the four mammoths. Great stuff. Although it's a little bit hard to tell when the mammoths are being well animated, just because of the way that those characters are. But Shira in Collision Course, as you'll soon see, is nothing like what she is here in Continental Drift. And I wonder if that has something to do with the fact that she's voiced by a celebrity. Maybe they couldn't afford to get her back into the studio for very long, or something, because she has very few lines in Collision Course, whereas she's a full-on character here in Continental Drift. Yeah, but obviously we won't be able to expect to see any continuation of Shira as a character, because Blue Sky, the studio that made this, was closed down, which is really sad. Nothing I really doubt we'll see much more Ice Age content. So what we have of this character is what we get. But I don't think that's a super terrible loss, because It's like if there was a sixth Ice Age, like what would it even be about? Like, at the end of Collision Course, Diego and Shira remark that maybe they can have kids. So it's like, would that be about them starting a family? I don't even know. I don't even know if I'd want that. Um, yeah, it's really weird. Um, I think that my favorite Ice Age movie is still Dawn of the Dinosaurs. I think that's of the Ice Age sequels, I should say, because um, yeah, I should just rank all the Ice Age movies here. So my favorite Ice Age movie is obviously the first one. The first one is a classic. It's just so good. It looks like it came out in 2002 with its textures and its lighting and everything, but the story and the characters, they're just so good. They work so well. And then I consider all four sequels to be just something completely else. Like it's like the first movie is there. It's its own thing, and it's the best of all of them. And then there's the four sequels. And in my mind, ne'er the twain shall meet. It's like, and with that in mind, my favorite is the third one, Dawn of the Dinosaurs. It's really good. And then I think my second favorite is probably this one, Continental Drift. And I think I like Collision Course more than The Meltdown. I think The Meltdown is the weakest of all of the Ice Age movies. I feel like it doesn't have nearly as good a story as the original one, and in some ways its visuals were even downgraded. Yeah. But I will say that the best in-credit sequence is this here. Shira dancing, like all the characters dancing, but especially Shira, like right here. Just the way she walks forward using her front legs. It's like a weird mix between arms and legs, but I really like it. Then there's also the matter of how, like, Blue Sky's tech just improves throughout. It's like here in Collision Course, the lighting is really something else. Like this is good lighting. There, I wonder if this was path traced. I don't know if it was. I think the first Disney movie to be path traced was Big Hero 6. And so I don't know if other animation studios were doing it by then. But I do think that technically this is the strongest Ice Age movie. The fur looks the best, the effects look the best, the lighting looks the best. Unfortunately, Shira is really just like stiff. It's like very rare that she gets to actually animate very much. Like the last movie, she had great animation. She was moving all over the place, really expressive face. But in this one, it's like she hardly does anything. Like animation-wise or story-wise. It's like, why did they even bother to have her come along with the gang in this movie? Why not just have her stay at home the way Balto 2 did? Like, in that one, it's like, in the first movie, in the first Balto movie, Jenna, she was a real trooper. She followed them all the way into the wilderness and fought a bear. But then in the second movie, they're just like, you know what? You can't come with us because of reasons. So why didn't they do that with Shira? It's like, instead of just having her tag along and do almost nothing and barely animate the whole time, why not just have her not join the group? Um, like, she doesn't have. She, like, basically, in Collision Course, Shira's character development basically amounts to this is how she is since the last movie. A not very aggressive and not very helpful character. And then within the movie itself, her entire character arc is, I think that Diego and I are too scary to be parents. We should maybe not become parents. And then at the end of it, they're like, you know what? Maybe we would be good parents. And it's just like, that's her entire arc. And besides that, she's just around and hardly says anything. Like, she rarely even comments on the situation at hand. And it's like there are so many things that they could have done with her. Like, there's the whole story about how Ellie and Peaches are, talking to each other about how Peaches is engaged and hoping to get married pretty soon. And it's like, why does Shira never speak during any of that? Like, she is literally in a relationship with Diego. It's never made clear if they're married or not, but whatever. Like, why is Shira never involved in any of these conversations? Like, I just don't understand why they don't use the characters that they have with them. Like, Crash and Eddie have more character development than Shira in this movie. Yeah, they really do. Crash and Eddie learning to give up their niece in order to get married. Like, yeah, there's more going on with, the two silly characters than there is with Shira. Yeah. And I feel like a ton of this movie is just filler. Like, all of the sequences of Scrat in space, it's like, sure, it's good visual comedy. Like, Blue Sky does great visual gags and stuff with Scrat. But does it really have to come at the cost of not giving one of the big characters from the last movie any room to grow and breathe? Like, if I could remake this movie, I would keep things basically the same, but I would remove most of the outer space stuff and most of the Scrat stuff, and I would use that time to actually let Shira have conversations with people. It's like, there's so many times when characters are having they're talking, but Shira has no part of that. And so, yeah, I think that Collision Course, with regards to Shira, is, like, one of the biggest lessons in lost opportunities. Because, like, she's a cool character. Like, the last movie established that. But apparently we're just not allowed to have nice things. And we'll never know what could have been with Shira because Blue Sky is dead. Oh well. Thanks for watching.